नाम संकीर्तन की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की ओके। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। टुगेदर। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनाशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। Hare Krishna, everyone. So today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1st, Chapter 19, Appearance of Shukadev Goswami, verse number 17. So today we'll cover 17 and 18. So let's read the shloka first. इति स्म राजाध्यवसाय युक्तः प्राचीनमूले शुकुलेषु धीरः उदण्डमुखो दक्षिणकूल आस्ते समुद्रपत्न्या स्वसुतन्यस्भारः इति स्म राजाध्यवसाययुक्तः प्राचीनमूलेषु कुशेषु धीरः दण्डमुखो दक्षिणकूल आस्ते समुद्रपत्न्या स्वसुतान्यस्तभारः इति स्म राजाध्यवसाययुक्तः प्राचीनमूलेषु कुशेषु धीरः उदण्डमुखो दक्षिणकूल आस्ते समुद्रपत्न्या स्वसुतन्यस्तभारः। Synonyms. Iti, thus, sma, in the past, as in the past, Raja, the king, Adhyavasaya, preservance, Yuktaha, being engaged, Prachina, eastern, Muleshu, with the root, Kusheshu, on the seat made of Kusha straw, Dhiraha, self-control, Udanmukha, facing the northern side, Dakshina, on the southern, Kule, bank, Aste, situated, Samudra, the sea, Patnya, wife of the Ganges, Swa, own, Suta, son, Nyasta, given over, Bharaha, the charge of administration. Translation purport by Divine Grace AC. Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. In perfect self-control, Maharaj Parikshit sat down on a seat of straw, with straw roots facing the east. placed on the southern bank of the Ganges, and he himself faced the north. Just previously, he had given charge of his kingdom over to his son. Purport: the river Ganges is celebrated as the wife of the sea. The seed of Kusha straw is considered to be sanctified if the straw is taken out of the earth complete with root, and if the root is pointed toward the east, it is considered to be auspicious. Facing the north is still more favorable for attaining spiritual success. Maharaj Parikshit handed over the charge of administration to his son before leaving home. He was thus fully equipped for all favorable conditions. We'll read 18 also. One time I'll say the shloka. एवञ्च तस्मिन् देवदेवे प्रायोपविष्टे दिवि देवसङ्गा प्रशस्य भूमो व्यकिरन् प्रसूनेर्मुदा मुहुर्दुन्दुभयश्च नेदुः. Synonyms: evam, thus, cha, and tasmin, in that, naradeva deve, upon the kings, praya upavishte, being engaged in fasting to death, divi, in the sky, deva, demigods, sangha, all of them, prashasya, having praised the action, bhumo, on the earth, vyakiran, scattered, prasune, with flowers, muda, in pleasure, muhu, continuously, dundubhya, celestial drums, cha, also, nedu, beaten. Translation and purport by General A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thus the king, Maharaj Parikshit, sat to fast until death. All the demigods of the higher planets praised the king's action, and in pleasure continuously scattered flowers over the earth and beat celestial drums. Purport: even up to the time of Maharaj Parikshit, there were interplanetary communications, and the news of Maharaj Parikshit fasting unto death to attain salvation reached the higher planets in the sky where the intelligent demigods live. The demigods are more luxurious than human beings, but all of them are obedient to the orders of the Supreme Lord. There is no one in the heavenly planet who is an atheist or non believer. Thus, any devotee of the Lord on the surface of the earth is always praised by them. And in the case of Maharaj Parikshit, they were greatly delighted and thus gave token of honor by scattering flowers over the earth and by beating celestial drums. A demigod takes pleasure in seeing someone go back to Godhead. He is always pleased with a devotee of the Lord, so much so that by his Adidaivic powers, he may help the devotee in all respect. And by the actions, the Lord is pleased with them. There is an invisible chain of complete cooperation between the Lord, the demigods, and the devotees of the Lord on the earth. So, in the previous verse, previous to previous verse, we see that Maharaj Parikshit is praying to the Brahmanas that, my Lord, if in case if I have to take birth again in this material world, then give me birth in the association of devotee, make me a devotee of the Lord. And now here we can see that now Shaunaka Rishi is telling, Sutta Goswami is telling to all the rishis, Shaunaka and all the rishis, that how Maharaj Parikshit is sitting and where he is sitting. So, there are some, whatever things are given in the scriptures, they have some scientific reasons behind them. It is not, okay, we do certain things just whimsically, or okay, we like to do, that's why we do. It's not like that. So that's why here Prabhupada is also explaining in the purport that how Maharaj Parikshit was sitting on the Kusha straw. He's saying that the Kusha straw, the root were pointing to east, and he was facing towards north. Just like in our tradition, like, from my childhood, I heard that we should never put a lamp, the fire, the lamp's fire facing towards south, because towards south there is a abode of Yamaraj. So except there is a one day comes in a whole year called as during the Diwali time, during the month of Kartik, called as Yama Deepdan. So in that day only, we put a lamp facing toward the north. Except that day, we should not put the lamp facing toward north. Like in Indian houses, every morning and every evening they light a lamp and they put lamp in the like in the altar, every altar. So and then the lamp stays for some time and then automatically goes away. But every evening they light a lamp and morning also. So whenever they light a lamp and they put the lamp should point either to east, north, or west, but not to a south. So there is some reasons behind that. So same way here, Prabhupada also saying the purport that how Maharaj Parikshit was, like um, uh, that time, though being a king, because they were educated in the spiritual science, they know the significance of all these things and they could follow that rules. And here we see that one word Prabhupada or the in the translation is that Maharaj Parikshit was sitting there in perfect self-control. So here we see that when I was thinking on this word, um, this is the situation where you got the notice that you are going to be leaving your body in 7 days, and you have to whatever attachments you have with your money, bank balance, your kingdom, your family, you have to leave that behind, and you have to prepare yourself for your next journey. So unless a person is self control, he cannot do that. And Maharaj Parikshit is setting that example. Just like here we see that what he did before he leave the kingdom, he given the charge of his kingdom to his son. So that means he get rid of all the attachments, whatever like kingdom or whatever like there are in olden days, this is the horses, the infantry, everything he gave up, and he came and he sat on a pusha straw. Not even like it's because he's a king, he brought a soldiers or some army or some servant with him who are bringing some silk straws and silk mats for him, and he's sitting on that, like comfortably on the silk mats. There is some glass of water. It's not like that. So we can see, how like he is in a complete renunciation detachment mode. And for that, uh, the first of all, mm, all the situation should be it is, thus he was fully equipped for all favorable conditions. So for spiritual life to practice, you should have a favorable condition around you. Then only you can practice a spiritual life favorably or peacefully, we can say. And what are those things we can think of, like which will make our life little more peaceful or favorable for practicing spirituality? Anybody? Hmm? Prabhu is mentioning, like today I'm a little tired, and then I told her in the morning, and then she's saying, when I asked the question, she's saying, get enough sleep. So, and I agree to that point that definitely, Prabhupada always said that, you have to take care of your health. If you are even when Prabhupada disciples, some of the disciple, like I was listening to a class few days back of Prabhupada, and all the devotees were coughing in the morning, and then Prabhupada says, "Oh, why? What happened? Why everyone is coughing? Uh, are you not having warm clothes?" Because I think he was in the US somewhere, and he was giving the class. I think that lecture was in New Vrindavan, I think. Yeah. And then Prabhupada recommended that, okay, you all should get warm clothes. And then Prabhupada spoke on the health. He said, unless you have a good health, good mind, you cannot practice spirituality peacefully. If your uh, health is troubling, if your body is giving pain, then it is difficult to focus on the holy name, or for that matter any spiritual activity. So he told the importance of focusing on the taking care of your health. um, so like that is the thing, like we have to uh, have that balance, I would say. So that's why there are many classes on the how to balance your spiritual life, your material life, your marriage life, so many things, like your professional life. Because uh, fortunately, unfortunately, I don't know what to say that, but we in this material world, willingly, unwillingly, we have to wear many hats. A person, um, in the current world or the current situation in the world is not like, okay, um, You can peacefully sit in a corner and you can practice your things. It's very difficult as Kali Yuga is progressing. Uh, for even I feel, even for the sadhu people also it is becoming difficult unless they are in the some Himalayas, some caves where nobody is reaching out to them. Or else for practicing bhakti or spirituality is becoming more and more difficult. So in that case, you have to find, just like Parishit Maharaj is saying in the previous verse, right? Put me in the association of devotee. So I think um, that is most favorable in Kali Yuga to practice bhakti than any other thing. When you have an association of a like-minded people who all are eager to practice spirituality, that situation will help you to practice spirituality. If you think, oh, alone by sitting in a home I can practice spirituality, then you are in illusion. And Prabhupada also says that, right? If somebody thinks that I can do bhakti alone, then Prabhupada says it's impossible, right? Prabhupada says you have to have association of devotee. And along with that, just like Prabhupada's, that's why the here the word self-control, that I was reflecting on that, I could feel that like my understanding was that um, when Prabhupada is mentioning self-control, for us, the self-control is following the four regulatory principles. We have to follow those principles. We have to adhere to our vows, which we took in front of Guru while taking initiations of chanting the holy name and following the four regulatory principles. So that thing, if we do sincerely, then Lord will also shower, and uh, just like the demigods are showering the flowers in the next verse, and Parikshit Maharaj, and they are praising him. So all the demigods, and just like Prabhupada says in purport that when a demigod see that a devotee is practicing bhakti, they have some powers, right? Demigods also, like they control some elements of this material world. They also help a devotee to, so that he can practice his devotional life more peacefully. So when, that's why it is said that those who help themselves, God help them. If you cannot help yourself, God also cannot help you. So first you have to first make yourself those efforts to practice that thing or to follow those things sincerely. You have to give your 100%, and then whatever extended help you need will provide it. In the next verse, when Prabhupada is saying that, mm, so what happened when all the demigods saw that the self-control of Parikshit Maharaj, the austerity of Parikshit Maharaj, the detachment he is doing, the demigods, they became happy and they started praising the actions of Parikshit Maharaj. And to express that praise, they started showering flowers, playing kettle drums, and in the purport, Prabhupada is saying that the demigods become happy when they see somebody is going back home, back to Godhead. So we can see that the living entities in the higher planetary system, they are little more self-control than the human beings on this earthly planet. And that's why we can say, we don't see a envy concept in there. Demigod doesn't become envy. Oh, how this person who is staying on the earthly planet and we are on heavenly planet and I cannot go back and he is going back. So they understand that whoever is dear to the Lord, if we serve them, if we make them happy, that will make Lord also happy. And that's why Prabhupada says that in the heavenly planet, there is nobody is a atheist. Everybody is obedient to the orders of the Supreme Lord. And that's why there is one more word Prabhupada says that there is an invisible chain of complete cooperation between the Lord, the demigods, and the devotees of the Lord. So when we say cooperation, I feel it's a very big word. Um, because um, while living in this body, while performing so many duties, cooperating is not that easy. Like especially I would say as a grahastha, it's like you have to cooperate with the demands of your children. You have to cooperate demands or the duties of your as a wife. You have to take care the duties of your, like because you are a daughter, you are a daughter-in-law, all those things you have to make sure you are taking care more, or if you are working in a professional world, then that duties. And then by handling all those things, you have to come, you have to serve in a association with the devotees. So, and in all the situations, many times it happens that, not many times, in fact all the time, your your ego will be put at stake. And that's where, like, the test of cooperation comes, that whether you give preference to uh, cooperating with the devotees and making a choice of uh, what is more pleasing to Krishna, or um, okay, uh, choosing your own selfish, or if you can say, egoistic propensities. So here we see that, like, um when somebody, especially on the path of spirituality, uh, when you are staying in association, you will get so many kinds of devotees. It's not like, one person, okay, everybody is agree with you at all the points. No, everyone will everyone will carry their own opinions, their own, everyone has their own nature. And sometimes, it's like so difficult, like, the people with the rajogun, the people with the satvaguna, the people with the tamoguna, if there are devotees which carry every, um, we all carry all the modes, but somebody has something more and something less. Somebody is more passionate, and somebody is more satvaguna, somebody is more tamoguna. But if everyone wants to serve Lord, and in that association we want to serve together, then there is a 1,000% guaranteed there will be conflicts. And we hear the story, right? The famous story of Pandavas, where the how, it is not like, okay, the conflict happens only between the human beings. Sometimes there are elevated devotees also, in between them also sometimes, there is a conflict of opinion. But how they cooperate, that thing teaches us that we can cooperate when we keep Krishna in the center. That's the main thing, like, if you want to learn, if somebody asks me, okay, Mataji, it's so difficult to cooperate. How can I cooperate? That person is doing completely wrong, or he is wrong, I'm right. And or she is wrong and I'm right. And whatever they are doing. So in that case, I feel, the only one answer we can see, that how can we put Krishna in the center? And that's what will make the things converge, and solve the all the conflicts and all the differences in the opinion. So everyone know the story, right, of the story of Ashwathama, where Bhima and Draupadi were disagreeing, and they both had their own opinions how to punish Ashwathama, and Arjuna was in between, who was going to ultimately uh, put those things to the action. And then Krishna, then he turned toward Krishna. Krishna, help me. What can I do? And then Krishna gave the best solution. So he killed also, but he didn't kill also. So like that. So here, that's what Prabhupada is saying, that so when Parikshit Maharaj decided that he wanted to fast until death, so we can see, like, we can see a drastic change, maybe in few hours or few days, in the situation of Parikshit Maharaj. Few days before or few hours before, he was um, inflicted with the thirst. Because of that, he offended the Shamik Rishi, and because of that, he got cursed. And after few days, he's sitting here now, completely detached of everything, totally self-control, ready to starve till death. So in that, definitely there is cooperation needed, right? Because there are the, just like Prabhupada is mentioning, that the demigods have Adidevic powers, and demigods are helping Parikshit Maharaj so that he can peacefully uh, uh, spend the last days of his life in association of the devotees listening to Srimad Bhagavatam. And they are doing that cooperation so that he can go back home, back to Godhead. So that is what, when we put our sincere effort, Lord also will provide whatever help needed for us to go back home, back to Godhead. But the first condition is you have to put your 100%. You have to show your sincerity. And everybody's 100% is different. We cannot compare, okay, if there is a child, or if there is an old man, or if there is a man with some physical or medical conditions, all of their um Jai Shri Shri Ji Bhagwan, Virat Bhai ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai, will be different. So here Prabhupada says that uh, you have to cooperate and you have to give your 100% for demigods to support you. And then Lord will, when it is said that cooperation, so it is cooperation between Lord, the demigods, and the devotees. So when you start practicing bhakti, it is not like, okay, you are on your own. In fact, we cannot do anything on our own. If you think how much is our strength? If we calculate also our life, 8 hours goes into sleep, few hours goes into eating, few hours goes into cooking, cleaning, traveling, taking bath, maintaining our body, and very less time is there for us to practice spirituality. So in that, if we think, oh, on my own strength I can go back home, back to Godhead, then we are full number. We need a help. We need that grace, we need that mercy from the higher power, from the acharyas, from our disciplic succession, from the demigods, from the Lord, and then only we can, we can reach to success. It is not like, okay, I started doing bhakti and I can complete it on my own strength. And that's why here Prabhupada is saying that there is an invisible cooperation between all of them, and that cooperation will you know uh, give the final success to Parikshit Maharaj. So that's what I have for today. If anybody has anything to share, any points to discuss, we can discuss on that.
I was thinking that, Prabhupada saying there's no atheists on the heavenly planets. It seems like if there were, it wouldn't be heaven.
Yeah.
Like in order for it to be
heavenly
in
planet.
the proper, consciousness. Not that there's no more passion, but I mean, it's sense gratification without repercussions.
Yeah.
But if there's sense gratification without repercussions, it has to be someone who's not going to explode. They're not exploiting, right? They're not, because in this world it degrades into violence and crime. When people try to have unlimited sense gratification, so there has to be some, like, person has to go through some purificatory processes just to get there. I mean, they get there with the intention of enjoying, right? That's why people choose heavenly planets, but there has to be some connection with Krishna, or else it would degrade into not a heavenly planet. Then it would be
Yes.
hellish planets.
Yes. Like I heard that, like it is not like the modes are not present. Definitely modes are there in the heavenly planets also, but they are in more sattva.
Yeah, it's closer.
Yeah, closer to sattva than just like we hear that, in the Bhagavad Gita there is a verse that, those who are in the mode of sattva, they go to higher planetary system. Those who are in mode of passion, they stay on the earthly planet, and those who are in mode of ignorance, they go to the the planets below the earth, like Patala, Sutala, Tala, Tala. Because and so it is not like, I feel when the atheist or non-believer means they know that they have the enjoying propensity, but at the same time they know that whatever enjoyment I am doing or whatever I am getting, ultimately the proprietor, the controller, the provider of all that thing is Supreme Lord. They don't take the credit, okay, like, okay, whatever I have, all the powers is belong to me. They have that. Just like we say that, what is the definition of atheist or non-believer? We atheists, they think that I can become Supreme Lord. Or there is another different atheists, they don't believe into the God. They believe that everybody is God. Everyone can enjoy. But I think the demigods are like, they are obedient servant of the Lord, and they enjoy, but at the same time, because we say karma mishra bhakta. So what is karma mishra bhakta means? They have desire to enjoy, but they are devotees also. So there are some propensities remain to enjoy. So what Krishna does, Krishna gives them that facility to fulfill their desires. And then once their desires are completely fulfilled, or we can say once they're enough frustrated and they understood that, okay, this is not going to give me the eternal pleasure. I'm going to ultimately, because we hear that, once demigod, they have a certain period of enjoyment. When they complete that enjoyment, they again fall back to earth. So that is how when they understand that thing, that time Krishna, then they get in association of devotee, then they start their spirituality. So it's not like, okay, they are not devotee, they are devotee, but they are devotees with the desire to enjoy. They still had those desire. We hear the story of Pururava, right? The king Pururava in Srimad Bhagavatam, that he had desire to enjoy, like he was a king on the earthly planet. Then he he got Urvashi. Then he enjoyed with Urvashi. Then he became so attached to her that when she left, next birth he took in the heavenly planet, and there also he enjoyed with Urvashi. But at the end, because of his what do you say, because he has a devotion to the Lord, ultimately he understood that what am I doing? Chewing the chewed, we said, like, and he understood that, and then he gave up everything, and then he um accept the path of self-realization, and he attained the perfection. So my understanding is that too. But yeah, yes.
Yeah, that was my big thing.
Mm.
Was that if your activities are connected with God, even if you're enjoying, you're doing great.
Yes.
The same way as someone who's, because to be an atheist means to see the everything except that he's a little proprietor.
Yes.
There's no one in charge. It's all for me.
Yes.
And the more you think like that, the more degraded you become. When you see everything is connected with God, then I think products if they're obedient to that, that you want a little pleasure.
Yes.
So it doesn't degrade the same way. But then the chakra comes.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Ultimately, I feel, whenever doesn't matter in the material world, whichever planet you are on, if you have that desire to have some enjoyment for yourself, that will bind you here.
Yeah. That's the point.
That's the point, because ultimately it's not like, okay, gopas and gopis in the spiritual planet, they don't enjoy. They enjoy, but they enjoy for the pleasure of Krishna. They enjoy for the enjoyment of Krishna. It's little difficult to understand. Sometimes we see that, like we hear that, like uh, they enjoy so that Krishna can enjoy, and Krishna enjoys because their devotees can enjoy. And that is how the enjoyment in spiritual world is unlimited. It is like, a full ocean full with unlimited, growing unlimitedly. So it is full, but it is still growing unlimitedly. So it's contradictory, we can say. But the same time, that is the definition. Like, I feel the atheist, the definition of Prabhu is saying that the what is the enjoyment propensity, whatever demigods carry, that enjoyment propensity don't degrade them to the level of, we can say that, like dogs, cats and dogs, where, there is a envy, and there is a, like that fight, we can say that, for grabbing that enjoyment. We can see, because we see that, like um uh, uh, Shankachura story, the demon Shankachura. When he saw the gopis and Krishna, then he thought, because he had that enjoyment propensity, but his enjoyment propensity was on the level of, we can say, demons. That's why we thought, how can he enjoy it? I deserve that, girls. They don't deserve. So when you don't understand the principle that Supreme Lord is proprietor of everything and he is enjoyer of everything, and that time when you claim the things which are, then you go to the level of, we can say, the demons or atheist. But here we can say why Prabhupada is not saying demigods as atheist, because they are obedient to they enjoy, but they are obedient to the orders of the Supreme Lord also. They understand the principle that, and that's why whenever the sacrifices happen and whatever share goes to demigod, they took it as a mercy of the Lord. They don't, okay, we deserve it, or it is our, like, so that is the thing.
And every once in a while they make a mistake.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that is the ultimate, I feel, until and unless you are out of this cycle of these modes of material nature, there is always a propensity, doesn't matter which planet you live on, there is always a chance, or it is we can say that, it is uh, pre-decided, that predestined, that you are going to fall, because you are in this cycle. Sometimes you're just like a ferris wheel we see, right? Sometimes you can be on the upper thing, but you are going to come down. Again, you'll go up, down. But that is not the goal. That's what Prabhupada says, that, that's why devotees, they don't um, um, desire to go to the heavenly planet and enjoy. Even they don't desire for liberation, what to speak in the heavenly planet. They don't want to go to the planet where there is a eternal bliss or eternal enjoyment. They just want to serve Lord. And that's what Parishit Maharaj is saying, right? We can see from that in the previous verse only he was saying, my Lord, in case if I take birth, put me in your service, put me in association of your devotees. And that is, I think, the enjoyment for devotees. It's not like devotees don't enjoy, right? We don't do austerities. Recently, I was speaking with some, we were having some discussion with some Matajis, and Mataji was saying, like, when we go outside in some outside parties, like some office friends, they call for their son's birthday, and many people come there, and they have Bollywood music going on, and like everything, and for them there is enjoyment. When we go, that is like a torture for us. We feel like, oh Krishna, what is this? And we feel like, okay, I just want to go out of here as soon as possible. So that it's not like devotees don't enjoy, but the definition of enjoyment for devotees is different than, and that's why Prabhupada says that, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna also says that uh, what is the difference between the spiritual minded and materialistic people? Whatever is day for them is night for the spiritual minded people, and whatever is night for the spiritual minded people is day for them. So that is the difference. And recently, our dear Ram Shraddha Prabhu and Vandana Mataji, they moved to Chicago, and we had a small gathering for them. And in that, then what to do? Then we played a game, passing the pillows. And in that passing the pillows, whoever has the pillow, the passing the pillow, the song was playing was Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And whoever has the pillow, that person has to share a memory with them. What memory, what was the uh, we can say, reciprocations, the loving exchanges they had in this time when they were here. And that was so nice. And then some Mataji were reflecting on that. Ki, Mataji, it was so nice, and we were teasing each other. And they were sharing some experiences where somebody is asking to do some surveys, and how the mood was there. And like, so I thought, it's not like devotees don't enjoy. They also have that, uh, hasya rasa and all those rasas involved. So yeah, but yes, yeah. Thank you so much for everyone joining. We'll end here. Sorry for taking too long. Vanchakalpatri Vishnukripaa Sindhudevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo Anantakoti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Thank you everyone on the Zoom. Yes, ending the Zoom here. Hare Krishna.